I'll tell you what, like if you go back and watch those old Family Feuds from like the classic 70s Dawson era,
Yeah.
he's got that long microphone. He's got a scotch in one hand, frequently has a dart going, right? Like,
Right.
and he's got that big collar and the big weird kind of like carpety suit. And man, that guy, like a young woman goes on there, he just descends on him like a fucking vulture. It's just, he'll like full on like give him a French kiss right there. It's crazy.
The mom and then the daughter as well.
I know. It's really.
Yeah, it's shocking to our modern sensibilities.
You know what? I'm telling you, if reincarnation exists, and I'm not saying it does, I want to come back as Richard Dawson circa 1977.
Welcome to Backtracking, the show where two old friends take a second listen to influential bands' catalogs, track by track. I am J. William Hall.
And I'm Dan Fiden. We'll be taking this journey together, providing context, both personal and historical, on some legendary bands. For our second season, we have selected none other than American Music Club. J. William Hall, here we are. We are almost done. We are through so many American Music Club albums. We are through so many Mark Eitzel albums. How does it feel?
I feel exhausted. We have consumed a huge amount of material by Mr. Eitzel and the rest of the lads in the band. And it has been rewarding on many levels. You know, I was just thinking to myself earlier today, it was going into this season, I was a hardcore early American Music Club fan is how I would have described myself.
Yeah.
But
keep it if it's after California type thing.
Well, no, Engine, it started with Engine for me, but I didn't follow Eitzel when he went solo, really, and then I didn't keep up when they had the comeback albums, But I'm happy to report that this season has turned me into not just an early AMC super fan, but an Eitzel super fan, a later era AMC super fan, and as we'll get into with this episode, a huge Clodhopper fan. Let's go.
Wow. All right. Well, listen, I'm excited to get into that. I've got to say the same thing. I found myself just this morning, purely for pleasure, putting on the Golden Age.
Mm-hmm.
Had to go for a little drive this morning, put on the Golden Age.
Yeah.
Now, and this is after spending, a lot of time this year just really listening to AMC almost exclusively. I think it says something that I chose to put it on at all after all this. But yeah, AMC's terrific. Eitzel's terrific. And you know what, J. William Hall? You are terrific.
Hey, no, you're terrific yourself. But, here's another thing that's terrific. If you are willing to dive as deep as we have dove into AMC and Eitzel, etc., how deep are you willing to dive? Because today we are about to scrape the bottom, right? Like we are going into everything.
We are diving. We are going to dive in, and we may, in fact, hit the bottom of the pool and injure ourselves. We're going so deep here. I'm looking forward to it. We're going to plow through a shitload of material at an incredible pace. Hopefully we can get this all into a single episode. That is my goal because, J. William Hall, we've got a lot to cover in the season finale. So really our housekeeping this week comes down to one thing.
Okay.
The brackets have been created. I have posted the brackets.
Wait,
what? I've begun posting the brackets so that the many fans can take a look and they can play along at home. And so I want you to give us a quick preview of your thoughts. I don't want you to declare any winners, but have you looked at your brackets and what are you thinking about?
I did look at the brackets and, I felt my pulse quicken and I felt my sweat glands begin to release the ooze.
Yeah.
As I looked at the matchups that await me. I'm not sure what I think in some cases there will be an immediate one that is my preference, but I think in other cases I'm going to need to play them back. I'm going to have to do a little side by side and see how I'm feeling. So it's going to be interesting to see which songs emerge victorious and as the biggest losers.
Now, were there any, the brackets were generated by the computer randomly. So the seeds were generated randomly. Mm-hmm. That, of course, results in some matchups that seem unfair. Early round matchups that seem unfair. This is, of course, why we've done a double elimination in the hope that, luck isn't going to be the thing that carries the day here. However, are there specific matchups that you've seen that you're just like, oy vey, this is not an acceptable first round matchup? It's, too good.
Yes. I definitely saw one and I'm struggling because I don't have the bracket in front of me at this time, but I can promise you that I will do my duty.
Yeah.
And I will kill one of the babies, so to speak.
Yep. Yeah.
And we'll see which one emerges the strongest and the ultimate winner.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm really looking forward to it. We are we're going to tackle that next episode, but today, J. William Hall, we don't have time to futz around.
No futzing.
We have too much to dive into. You took the lead on putting together the list of material that we were going to cover in this episode. So I think it's only appropriate, J. William Hall, for you to step up to the plate.
All right.
Champion that you are, to lead us on this journey.
All right. So here was the challenge and here was the solution. The challenge is that when you really start to dig into the AMC /Eitzel / other AMC members, Voodie and Danny Pearson and Bruce Caffin, and their various projects, the discography gets large in a hurry. Yep. There are unofficial releases abound. There are an album's worth of B-sides, outtakes, those types of things from studio sessions.
Yeah.
There is a growing collection of AMC live recordings that are available, on YouTube that are not even official releases. So anyway, it's a challenge to divvy it all up into a digestible format for covering it. So basically what I did is I divided it into kind of like 3 sections. You have the live material. So we're talking about live albums, anything performed live. Could be like, studio sessions, live studio sessions, that kind of thing as well. Yeah. Then we have the sort of like B-sides and compilation tracks, like things that were officially released, but were not part of an album. They were just like one-off things out, either on like early on it was things like flexi discs, when magazines would put out flexi discs, and they would, sometimes they would get like super obscure B-sides that get onto these things. And then just like the AMC B-sides are pretty obscure, now because, these singles that they were on are out of print. So that type of thing. And then you have like unreleased stuff like demos, early 4-track recordings, like things like that have kind of like filtered out online in various, usually YouTube or something. So there are some particular YouTubers that have been doing the Lord's work in collecting and releasing some of this stuff. And I have their names. I have their names somewhere. I know Dirty Pearl is one of them, and I apologize because I can't think off the top of my head what a couple of the others are, but there are several YouTubers that have put a lot of this like Eitzel B-sides, Ephemera stuff out there.
Yeah.
And I applaud them and I say hurrah.
Yeah.
And a lot of my research was in digging into, what they have available. So that is the overview of what I'm hoping to cover here.
Okay. All right. So
maybe
shall we?
Yes. So yes, this is the first section I propose we talk about, the live collections. I'm not sure what you had time to digest before this session.
Well, listen, for me, this was a different process than our normal backtracking. Normally, when I backtracked one of these records, I would listen to the album over the course of a week or two, kind of all the time. So I would listen to it at least 10 times. And then I would sit down in front of my computer. This is a big computer problem, as the kids say, for the oldsters. I had to sit down at the desk with the typewriter, and I'd listen to the album, and I'd make my notes as I listened to it. But that would be my, 11th or whatever listen to the album. That is not at all what I did with these. Okay. We are going to try to cover so much stuff that there are a few of these things I've heard before, but really I just listened to everything once, and I did not listen all that closely. All of my kind of reaction is just 3 or 4 comments about each thing we're going to cover. But in all honesty, it'll be a first impression for most of it rather than a 12th impression, which is what I'm kind of usually delivering.
We are on the same page.
Good.
99%, because that's going to be my thing as well. I kind of like raced through listening to things, and much of it I only listened to once, but I took notes as I went. So we'll see what we come up with.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. So I counted up. I have 6 live collections that I would like to mention.
Okay. Well, let's take them one at a time. Let's just start from the top. We'll do our comments on that, and then we'll move on.
Okay, so first of all, there are
no more preambling. You're preambling all over the place.
Okay, well, I want to start with the AMC
now, before
live.
we say that,
I have other things to say, but I want to start with the AMC Live 1992 to 1993 collection.
Yeah,
which is available on Bandcamp, on the AMC Bandcamp.
And this was never pressed onto any kind of physical media, is my understanding. And it was released in was it 2020 or 2021?
Yeah, 2021.
I'm not sure, but it was released pretty recently.
Right. So somebody went back and got the tapes or whatever and remastered them, and I assume this is. But the thing that I was going to say before even getting into this is that there are earlier AMC Live shows out there on YouTube, like from there's a very early Eitzel solo show from like 86. That's out there. So you can find that stuff on YouTube. But what we're going to start with here is the 92 to 93 collection. And this is kind of a compilation of what sounds like 2 separate sessions. So the first 5 tracks are from a radio session where they played live in studio. And then the rest of it is from the Roskilde Festival, 1993. In Denmark. Yeah, and so this that festival is all right. So a couple of things on each of those, because when you listen to this single collection,
there's a pretty stark difference in the sound between the KCRW recordings, the first 5 or so tracks, and the ones from the festival. But KCRW, for those who don't know, very well known, I think influential in the kind of, alternative music world, public radio affiliate in Santa Monica.
Got it.
Yeah. And I don't know, maybe but I don't know what show. They had a very famous show that was for a while hosted by a guy named Nick Harcourt that was called Morning Becomes Eclectic.
You know what?
They had a lot of live bands on that. Is that where this was recorded?
It is, yeah. I managed to dig in far enough. I found it was October 13th, 1992. So the context, keep in mind, is that they started recording Mercury in December of 92. So this would have been, and the songs from this session are, I think, mostly Mercury previews. They would have been. So they're doing this live radio session and they're previewing songs that are going to be recorded for the next album, mostly.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, all right. So before we just kind of give our overall feelings on it, the tracks that we're talking about here are Will You Find Me, then Gratitude Walks, I've Been a Mess, Why Won't You Stay, and If I Had a Hammer. So I would say that this live collection, specifically this chunk of 5 songs, it really, really is an incredibly kind of well-engineered, good-sounding live set.
Yeah, and I think the performances are tight. Like, you can tell that they were, this would have been, I think, the Everclear tour, and they were playing a ton of shows, and they were tight, and these are faithful to the album versions. I think as faithful to album versions as I've heard them play live.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the opener, Will You Find Me, my comment on it was, it is so faithful to the studio version, you almost can't tell it's live.
Right.
I wouldn't say that about the other versions. You can tell they're live, but that opener is like, it sounds like the studio version. The only other one that really struck me, but generally speaking, I like this kind of five song set. I felt like Why Won't You Stay was particularly strong in here, and probably the most of these songs, in my opinion, the most distinct from what you end up getting on the record.
Ah, gotcha. So this version of the band, I believe, is Eitzel, Voody, Pearson, Caff, and Mooney.
Yeah.
So, in my mind, I think of this as kind of like the classic AMC lineup. Yep. So I would definitely recommend this collection for anyone out there who's a fan of that, that Everclear, Mercury, San Francisco era lineup. Like, this collection will knock your socks off. Yeah, agreed. So what about the back half of this collection, J. William Hall? I'm going to run through the track list. Yeah. But this is the stuff that was done at Roskilde. Maybe you can just talk a little bit about Roskilde after I go through the set list. So it's Western Sky, Apology for an Accident, Outside This Bar, Hopes and Dreams of Heaven's, 10,000 Whores, Sick of Food, Will You Keep Me Around, Challenger, If I Had a Hammer, Night Watchman. Am I missing any of them on there? I wasn't listening.
Oh, okay.
Because I was looking. I found the original 1993 Roskilde poster online.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
And so I was just looking at the list of all of the other groups that played at this thing, and this festival was I think a pretty big fucking deal for 1993, right?
Yeah, I remember the name. I don't really know anything about it, but I remember the name in the same way that you kind of remember the name of, well, I'm gonna forget the name, but the really famous festival in England
Glastonbury.
somewhere. Yeah,
Glastonbury.
Glastonbury. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
All right. Well. Okay. Here are some of the bands that were playing
Okay.
that festival.
Okay.
And these are the
Hit
ones
me.
that are listed above American Music Club, because I think they do have
Yeah.
them in sort of order of, whatever headliner, So
Yeah, sure.
Neil Young with Booker T and the MGs was number one.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
Red Hot Chili Peppers,
Okay.
Midnight Oil,
Sure.
Velvet Underground,
Wow.
Ray Charles and his orchestra, Chris
Okay.
Isaac, Living
Interesting.
Color, then American
Interesting.
Music Club.
Wow.
And
Wow.
they are above bands such as Aztec Camera, Bad Religion.
Yeah.
It's the type's getting
Yeah.
small now. Kronos Quartet,
Yeah.
Motorhead, Porno for Pyros, Shonen Knife, Sonic
Wow.
Youth, Sugar,
Wow.
Suicidal
Wow.
Tendencies, and the list goes on and on. So this was a huge
Wow.
ass festival. It was held in July. It was over like 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
In Denmark.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. I mean, listen, but you got to remember, this is AMC coming off the heels of Everclear when they're really probably at their peak hype, right?
Yes. That's what I'm thinking, and I think that this collection is interesting because this is a glimpse into them at their commercial peak, I would say.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
they are playing, and you can hear it in this collection. You can hear it's very different than a lot of the live recordings you hear of AMC Eitzel, where they're clearly in a club, right? Or they're in a bar,
Yeah.
and you can hear the people talking with him, and here you can hear that he's like way removed from this audience, and is sort of like they're like this roar in the background. Like, that's pretty crazy to remember that they were this big at this moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I will say that I personally didn't love these. I think of the live stuff that we're going to go through, I liked this set pretty well. In particular, I felt like If I Had a Hammer, there was a really interesting bridge that isn't in the recorded version. So that song sounds a little bit different, and that's kind of fun to listen to. And then Outside This Bar, I thought the version that they played live was like really wild, but really good. You know what I mean? It like was tight, but high energy.
It was borderline out of control, I thought, but in a good way, but it was just wild to hear them do a couple of these songs in front of a festival this huge, like, Hopes and Dreams of Heaven's 10,000 Whores to like this like giant crowd. It just sort of like, in my mind, it pictures kind of funny.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's interesting. All right. So should we move on to the next one?
Yeah. So now I don't know if you had a chance to listen to this one, but it was a show that is available on YouTube, a 2-hour New Year's Eve show, 1993.
Yes.
Did you listen to it? Okay.
I did.
So
I listened to everything.
Okay. Awesome. So, I mean, because there's, this 2-hour show, but I have to say, like, I love this fucking recording. Like, this is yes, this is the band at their loosest. You can tell they're.
Wait, hold on. Before we get into that, I just want to go through the track list, right?
Okay.
So that people know what's in this. I just took Sleeping Pill.
Yeah, I just took 2 sleeping pills. Yeah, I'm like a bridegroom at the altar.
Yeah, Keep Me Around. Can You Help Me? I Broke My Promise. Hollywood 4592. Hopes and Dreams of Heaven's 10,000 Whores. Sick of Food. Night Watchman. Fearless. Why Won't You Stay? Western Sky. Wish the World Away. They do a cover of Lowrider The Dead Part of You, Challenger, I've Been a Mess, Hello Amsterdam, The Thorn in My Side is Gone, Take Courage, I'll Be Gone, Bad Liquor, Gary's Song, Blue and Gray Shirt, The Revolving Door, and Close with Firefly. That is the set.
Yes, it's an epic set. It's one show. It happens on New Year's Eve at the Hotel Utah in San Francisco, clearly in front of a hometown crowd. They clearly have a lot of friends there, and they're bantering back and forth. You can hear on stage chatter, and they're super loose, and they do some really amazing versions of some of these songs, and you get to hear them do like a funny cover. And the new year happens in the middle of the show, and so there's revelry around that. I think it's a great recording. So for any fans out there, treat yourself right. You'll feel like you're at the show.
Okay, I am going to take issue with J. William Hall on this one. This absolutely is a terrible recording. It is a terrible recording of a band, of any band.
Fidelity-wise, this is an audience tape. This is not like an attempt at like, we're going to release this. This was just like a tape,
Yeah, no, and it's a terrible tape.
It's rough. It's rough.
Now, I will say, if you are an extraordinarily hardcore AMC fan, it is worth listening to this because they do. But there's a couple of things. One, like Eitzel is pretty talkative during the set, so you hear a lot of that. Two, they do a lot of very different versions of a lot of these songs.
Yes.
And so that is academically interesting. There is no denying that this didn't even feel like a public gig to me. This felt like them playing a house party with their friends because there's so much like obvious Eitzel recognition of people in the crowd. I mean, it really is like, there's a lot of that. Mm-hmm. But I don't like, with the exception of Keep Me Around, which is one of the songs that I dislike off of, that's off Mercury, or San Francisco. I can't remember. I can't remember what it's off. I think Mercury. Yeah. With the exception of the version of Keep Me Around, which I actually like and somewhat prefer to the recorded version, I don't like any of these versions as well as I like kind of other versions of the songs you can find elsewhere. It ends up feeling, it all kind of feels mid-tempo. So some of the slower songs, the drummer plays double time to what was recorded. And so you just kind of, the whole set to me felt like roughly the same tempo, same level of energy. You know what I mean? There was just not a lot of up and down in the set.
I suppose that's fair, but I really enjoyed the feeling of being there kind of aspect, like imagining just sort of like witnessing this show. And it clearly seemed like a really fun atmosphere. And the band seems to be enjoying themselves, and they are screwing around with songs and trying different versions of them and all of that kind of stuff. So, all in all, I think I really enjoyed it. I think it was my and it also is just a glimpse into the band at this point, because I mean, this is after Mercury had just come out, or no, they had just recorded it. And so, they've been playing a lot, so I mean, I think they're definitely, there's a bit of drunken revelry vibe to this whole set. That's, it's a little rowdy, but, but I think that it's still really good, like entertaining.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we can agree to disagree. I think it's an interesting artifact, but not something I would listen to again. Mm-hmm. Okay, we've got to move on, J. William Hall.
Yeah, let's. Well, the next one, if I may introduce, is
of course,
was recorded back there in Pittsburgh, over at Pittsburgh American Music Club down on the South Side.
Where in Pittsburgh? Are you familiar with
over
the
on
venue?
the south side? Yeah.
What's the venue called? Oh,
over
the venue is
there,
called.
over there.
The
At the
venue is
Rex.
called the South Side.
No,
The
over
South
there at the
Side?
Rex, over there on the south side, and that.
Okay, yeah.
Anyway,
And was it a good venue? Was it a good venue?
I don't know. I never saw anything at this venue. It doesn't exist anymore. It changed its name or something. So I'm not even sure. I assume it was an old theater that was a music venue, but it was on the south side of Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Carson Street. And so this was a live show that was recorded there in November of 2004.
Yeah.
This would have been the Love Songs for Patriots tour. And it's just the full set, I assume.
Yeah, and all right, let's go through that set list. So it is Why Won't You Stay?
Yeah.
Gratitude Walks. Only Love Can Set You Free. Another Morning. Johnny Mathis Feet. Patriot's Heart. Job to Do. Home. Myopic Books. Blue and Gray Shirt. Outside This Bar. Western Sky.
Yes.
Okay, so what was your kind of feeling about this recording?
I think it's a very nice recording. It feels a little more subdued maybe than, especially coming off of that New Year's Eve gig. I know we're flashing forward in time here, but it's got a good mix of old and at that time new, Love Songs for Patriots stuff.
Yeah.
It's a good recording. I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's a really good recording. So a couple of things that popped out of me. One is Why Won't You Stay? Why Won't You Stay as the opener, and the tempo is even slower than the album version.
Yeah.
It is incredibly. This is downright lugubrious. This is very slowcore, and
Yes.
it's an interesting way to open the set. I really like it, but it is challenging. Because they took a slow song and even slowed it down. It's a funny way to open a set. The ones that kind of stuck out to me that I did not like, really Job to Do. I felt like the version of Job to Do was really not great in this one, but I liked the construction of the set in this one way. There's this section of the set that goes from kind of Another Morning, which is pretty upbeat, relatively upbeat, right, into Johnny Mathis's Feet, which kind of high drama, well-known song. Then they go into Patriot's Heart, which is definitely high drama but darker. Mm-hmm. And then this kind of weird version of Job to Do. It really you kind of really descend from Patriot's Heart down into Job to Do. And then they play Home. And the contrast between Job to Do and Patriot's Heart and then Home really lifts you way back up. It really, that song in particular, I thought worked super well, almost as almost a second set opener, if you want to think about it that way.
Yeah.
So I really like that about the recording.
Yeah, I thought that, Home definitely reveals itself over time, I think, as being a strong live song. It's a very big, big soaring chorus kind of song. And I thought that worked pretty well. I thought it was curious. They stuck the, Blue and Gray Shirt, Outside This Bar, Western Sky kind of all crammed at the end.
Yeah.
I would have thought maybe Johnny Mathis's Feet would be somewhere near the end where it was kind of a dramatic peak of the show, but I quibble.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't love this live collection, but I did not dislike it. I thought I thought this was a pretty good live collection.
I liked it fine.
Yeah. All right. So should we move on?
Yes.
Okay. Let's do it. So tell us, where are we going?
Okay. We're going to Atwater Afternoon.
Okay.
which was this was a collection that the band, I believe, sold as a tour support CD. And it features recordings made during rehearsals before their tour. So this was the Golden Age tour band, which who all was in this band? We've got Steve Diddlow. We've got Voody.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm trying to see. I can't find the list of the people right now. Anyway, it's not the quote unquote classic lineup at this point. It's sort of a slightly morphed lineup, following the Golden Age. But this is a collection of kind of like rehearsal recordings. It's some covers. You've got at least one unreleased Anywhere Else AMC song. You've got a Voody written and sung song. You've got a Diddlow written song. And and then some of the classics. Hello Amsterdam, Home, Western Sky, Who You Are, One Step Ahead. Yeah. So,
well, let's just go right through the entire set list. So
give them the set list.
City Lights, which is a cover. All My Love, For the Good Times, which is a cover. I'm Your Puppet, which is a cover. Long Long Walk. Little Joy, which is
that's a Voody song.
Voody wrote that.
Mm-hmm.
One Step Ahead, Who You Are. All the Lost Souls, Welcome You to San Francisco, Insider's Guide to Life, which again was written by, was it Voody or
Diddlow?
Okay. Hello Amsterdam, Home, and Western Sky. So, all right. So I really don't have too much to say about this, except that overall, and in particular, I feel like the second half of this collection has really terrible sound. And that bothered me. It made it difficult. I found it difficult to listen to.
I think it's the last three songs definitely like sound like suddenly they switched to like a boombox recording.
Yeah, it like kind of just made it feel. It was too bad to listen to. Now on the upside though, as they started to play some of these covers, not so much I'm Your Puppet, because I don't know. It's cute that they do it, but like the first song, City Lights, and the Christopherson song, you know what it reminded me of? It kind of made me wish that AMC had done this. Do you remember the Acetone record, I Guess I Would? Mm-hmm. I think it was called I Guess I Would. Yeah. The country cover record that they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, gosh, these are pretty good. These covers are pretty good. It would have been fun to hear an AMC studio country cover record, like that Acetone record. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean they certainly could have pulled that off, I think, pretty well.
Yeah. So what did you think about this one?
It's an interesting collection. I didn't really listen to it, I guess, as like a coherent sort of thing per se. Like, so, those last three songs, I did think it was curious that they included them just because the sound is so rough in comparison. And it's not like, I mean, it's interesting to hear this band's versions of those songs, but these are all released songs elsewhere or whatever. Obviously for like, I don't know, AMC heads or whatever, like me, you want to hear the unreleased, nuggets, and it's cool to hear the Voody vocal song, and and they're loose, like these are rehearsal recordings, so there's a looseness to them that I think comes across in the recording. So, mostly for me, this was like a curios collection,
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of felt the same way about this one that I did that New Year's Eve show. It's like, I think, if you really want to go deep, it's worth giving this a listen. I would not say that, like, were there an essential AMC live collection or multiple AMC live collections, I don't think this is kind of belongs in that world.
The one thing that I did take note of is the one song that's otherwise unreleased, I think, Long, Long Walk, it's called. And Eitzel seems to be telling a story of an anecdote about him and a friend named Larry who take a late night walk down High Street here in Columbus and encounter some hillbilly fuck with nunchucks outside a supermarket. And so in my head, I'm picturing this specific supermarket on High Street, just south of the campus area, that I'm like, I bet it was that Kroger. I bet it was that Kroger.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, so should we move on to the next one?
Yes. The next one is, we're flashing forward a little bit to September of 2008. This is a live show from Cambridge, England. It is called, the collection is called Food, Sex, and Shelter. It is available on the American Music Club Bandcamp only. And this is described as the last ever tour, recorded in Cambridge at the Cambridge Junction, September 15th, 2008. And this is the final lineup of AMC that toured. It includes Eitzel Voody, a gentleman named Jonathan Heine on guitar, a woman named Dana Schechter on bass, and Steve Diddlow on the drums.
Now, Dana Schechter, I believe, was somehow involved with the band many years prior to this. Is that
she was.
Accurate? She was. The name is ringing a bell.
On the Bandcamp page, it sort of has a little paragraph about the album, and it says, Dana was briefly in the band back in the 90s, so great to see her return for a full tour. So I think she might have been like...
Was she the one that was like joined the band on bass and then like immediately left the band for what seemed like drug reasons or something?
I don't remember exactly, but the name did ring a bell.
Yeah, all right. Well, yeah. Well, we'll have to...
Yeah, because there was also Lisa...
Oh, that's right. That's right.
But that was from like California era, so I don't know. But anyway, Food, Sex, and Shelter. So do you want to read the track list for this?
Sure, yeah. Okay, so let me see. What Godzilla Said to God, The Stars, Gratitude Walks, If I Had a Hammer, Sleeping Beauty, All My Love, Apology for an Accident, Night Watchman, What Holds the World Together, Another Morning, Home, Windows on the World, Fearless, and Animal Pen.
Yeah, so the track list for this one is different, significantly different from like previous collections that have been kind of put out there. And, the band has significantly changed. And I think that they do, faithful renditions, like they're not drastically altering things, but just because it's different players, like, it kind of comes across a little differently. So it's interesting to just hear the mutations a little, subtle mutations in the music and the way the band feels. But it's definitely an enjoyable collection.
Yeah. All right. So my feeling on this one is, I think that this is probably, if you were to go out and press a live record for AMC, I think this is probably the one that I would do it with of all of them that we've talked about.
Really?
I think kind of overall it's the most, the versions are the most consistently good. The sound is good, which is, I mean, that's kind of a threshold issue. And most of the live records that we've heard so far have not, I think, gotten over that threshold. In my opinion,
you have got to embrace the low. You know what you got to do? You put on that live show from New Year's Eve that's just the YouTube audience recording, and it's rough sounding. The first song, I mean, your ears are bleeding, you know, but then you just got to power through. Like, crank it up a little bit and just like keep going, and like your ears will adjust, you know, like you adjust. If you have a pair of like headphones, you know, good headphones, and your ears adjust to the sound after a while, and then you're in the room. I'm telling you.
Yeah. No, disagree. So there are some things that I think are a little, you know, maybe not perfect in here, in my opinion. The version of what Godzilla said to God, it really highlights for me, this version highlights for me how superior the Songs of Love live version is of this song to the one that appears on Mercury. This is one of my favorite Eitzel compositions.
And that bothered you how they produced that. It got froomed. You've been froomed.
Yeah, it was froomed, I think, and I feel like this version of it is similarly kind of problematic. So I actively did not like that one. He has this whole kind of thing on Gratitude Walks where that, you know, honestly, I was just kind of like, this is a strange side journey we're taking. However, he changes the name. He changes it to Mission Street, right?
Yeah, because he was talking about how he couldn't figure out a way to get that to work syllable wise in the original, so he changed it to 6th Street. But then he kind of just, you know, sings it Mission Street on this version, right?
Yeah, but it was just kind of like it's a weird.
Well, you know what the biggest
if this was
flaw,
a real live album, you'd have to cut that out.
The biggest flaw though with this recording as released is the same mistake that we've seen on other Eitzel live releases where the anecdotes about the song are on the wrong track. They're at the tail end of the previous track, and then it just
terrible.
No.
It's terrible. Now, the one thing that I will say on here, which I found surprising in multiple ways, is they close this collection with Animal Pen, a song that I really think is kind of a throwaway. Mm-hmm. But I actually kind of liked it in the live set here, which surprised me. I don't know that, you know, if I were in the band and we were like gonna go out and do a live album that was gonna get distributed, I would encourage Animal Pen to show up on it. That said, I think it's pretty good in here.
Well,
and it's kind of a funny thing to hear, you know?
Yeah, it's kind of a crowd pleaser too, because like, you know, I bet that room was packed with like AMC super fans. You know, I know they're huge in the UK. And, you know, so to pull that one out, you know, because that's like an obscure track from the United Kingdom album, you know, and so you know, I'm sure it was well received.
Fan service, you're saying that was fan service?
Yeah, but you know, I can't help but think of that 92-93 lineup, the classic lineup, you know, as peak power AMC. You know what I mean? And so like I mean you know, hearing this collection and you know, hearing how the band mutated a little bit after you know, just getting into that second era of the band. It's not that these bands aren't good. Like, they are good. Like, and these recordings are good, and the versions are interesting, and they're subtly, you know, different here and there, but they're, you know, well rehearsed and well played. But I feel like the power has diminished a little bit, like, you know, and it's unfair, you know, probably because, you know, I first got into AMC, you know, with that you know, the quote unquote classic lineup. And so it's hard to dislodge that as like superior, you know, to these later versions of the band, even though these are great bands, you know what I mean?
No,
and the material, you know.
I would disagree with you though. I think that this band is really good. What I miss in this version of the band, and this is really just like consistent across everything they did, is Cathin. I think this band with Cathin, this would have been a terrific live recording. But I just generally speaking miss the pedal steel in these songs. And the keyboard is kind of like in certain places, I think it works reasonably well, but
they can conjure it if you get Voodie doing like soundscapey guitar stuff with the keyboard, they can get into that same territory. But I know what you mean. I know what you're missing. Yeah.
All right, so should we move on to the next recording?
Yes, so we're skipping ahead now to 2013, where we have this is not American Music Club. This is an Eitzel solo group that he's put together, and they're going under the name The Eitzel Ordeal. And this is a release called the Konk Session 2013. It is available on Mark Eitzel's Bandcamp, and I think that's the only place. And so this is a unique band, that as far as I can tell, kind of only formed around this 2013 European tour era for Eitzel.
Yeah.
And I guess, they liked what they were doing well enough that they were like, let's book some studio time. We're going to lay our set down. And that's what this release is. Do you want to read the tracks? Give me those tracks.
Yeah, I'll go through those tracks. So opens up with What Holds the World Together, Mission Rock Resort, I Love You But You're Dead, The Dead Part of You, Why I'm Bullshit, which was off of what collection? Was that off of like Lover's Leap? I remember the song. I mean, I recognized it as soon as I listened to it, but it's kind of an obscure one.
Klamath.
Okay. We All Have to Find Our Own Way Out, Apology for an Accident, Costume Characters Face Dangers in the Workplace, The Decibels and the Little Pills, Oh Mercy, Blue and Gray Shirt, Western Sky, Patriot's Heart, and Bad Liquor.
Yeah. And when I'm looking at the notes about the album, it looks like it was recorded at 3 different studios. So even though they're called the Konk Sessions, it looks like some of it was recorded at Konk, which I think is maybe Ray Davies from the Kinks. I think that's his studio.
Okay.
The Fleece and Cypress Avenue. Oh, that's because he did the live track. Sorry.
Okay.
So anyway, this is a unique lineup of the band, and I'm going to give you the rundown. Okay, are you ready? On bass and production, we've got Gareth Hugh Davies.
Okay.
Now, it occurs to me now with the Ray Davies Konk Studios, is there a connection there? I should have Googled. I didn't do it. On one-arm drums, quote unquote, we've got Stephen Hiscock, which is a surname that I'm sure nobody ever commented on while he was growing up, Mr. Hiscock. On the keyboards, we've got Patrick Nicholson. So this is the lineup, and what do you think? What are your thoughts about this collection?
Okay, I think that this collection is probably most your best. You're gonna do yourself the biggest favor by approaching this collection the same way that you approach The Ugly American, because they really just do very distinctive versions of all of these songs, and I think that mostly I don't like them. However, there are a couple of spots where I felt like, wow, like I was shocked at how much I liked the versions of them. So I can talk a little bit about that. The version that opens the collection of What Holds the World Together is in affront to the song What Holds the World Together, in my opinion.
Oh my goodness.
I love it. That is one of my favorite Eitzel songs. It is one of my favorite Eitzel songs, and I found this version to be terrible. However, they come right back at you with Mission Rock Resort, and I think it's a great version of Mission Rock Resort. And then later on in the track, they play "We All Have to Find Our Own Way Out," which again is a song, very dark song, but I like that song quite a bit, and I thought it was just atrocious. And then they turn around and play "Costume Characters Face Dangers in the Workplace," and I thought this version worked better than the studio recorded version.
Wow. Okay.
So I felt like this was overall not an essential collection, in my opinion, but there are some oddball ones here and there that I definitely think are very interesting and very worth listening to.
It clearly felt to me that this band is like a jazz oriented. Yeah. These are jazz oriented players. These are guys that come a little more from that world, and a lot of the songs that they chose, were already kind of like the jazzier Eitzel solo material, or they were doing sort of jazzed up versions of things. Like Dead Part of You, they completely transform it. And it's interesting. I mean, as a aficionado or whatever, I'm curious and interested to hear these alternate versions. And I think that, so here's a big hot take. Are you ready? Here's my
I want to hear it. Yeah.
I think you have to consider Eitzel like a jazz musician, in that he has surrounded himself with unique and different combos over time. Either versions of AMC or, for different solo albums, he's working with different collaborators basically. On a couple, he's just doing it by himself or whatever. And I think that this is more akin to like a jazz singer, who you think of as like, singing with this group, and then they go and they sing with this group, and then they go and sing with this group. And it's not, or putting together their own quartets and quintets and, kind of thing. And I think that there's some parallel there. I'm not saying that excuses him doing jazzed up versions of Dead Part of You or whatever, but like, I just think of him as almost like a jazz singer. It's like all of these combos are centered around his material, essentially, but they're doing their own kind of twists and takes on it, depending on the players. And I think that's kind of cool, I think it's interesting to hear those different combos and like what it sounds and how it mutates the feel of things. But, maybe I'm not like you. Maybe you're different.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, I guess I didn't intellectualize it all that much. I just kind of felt like, very capable. Clearly, it's a very capable group.
Oh yeah,
very talented. They take these songs in interesting directions. I think you're right on that. This is Eitzel again going back to the kind of well that he went to first in 60 Watt Silver Lining, which is like, this kind of jazz bow torch song singer type thing. Mm-hmm. But I would say mostly it didn't work for me. Yeah, that's just it. Fair. Like, I just think this is like very inessential, but there are a couple of oddball songs that I feel like work particularly well, and like Costume Characters Face Dangers in the Workplace, I thought it was a terrific version.
And they definitely, like, as the set goes on, it almost gets like more rockin'. Like
yes,
it loses some of the jazz bar feel and picks up some of the rock club kind of feel. And so I think that like Oh Mercy gets pretty rockin' later on, and they do a surprise conclusion of the super grindy version of Bad Liquor that I think is actually pretty cool. Like I'm kind of digging it.
Yeah. All right, so listen, we are now done with the live material. Are we not? Mm-hmm. This is it. This is it. So it's now time to move into
and
the
again,
deepest and oddest of rarities.
go onto YouTube, search for American Music Club Live. You'll find all kinds of shit.
And I'm sure that I will be able to put some links into the show notes for each of these collections so that everyone has an opportunity to decide for themselves, because for God's sake, people, don't let us think for you. You got to go out there and just make your own mind up.
You're all about free thinking, freedom of thought,
That's
freedom of movement of goods between the Hawaiian Islands and the mainland.
That's right. Don't get me started on the Jones Act. But J. William Hall, I should have known. I should have known there was just too much goodness, too much ephemera for us to fit in a single episode. And so, we are going to have to break this one in half. About an hour. Now we're going to move on to a second episode, maybe another hour, maybe another hour and a half. Who knows? We're just going to have to see. But until then, until next week, please email backtrackingrocks@gmail.com, Twitter @backtrackingrocks, Instagram @backtrackingrocks, Reddit, go to the American Music Club subreddit, you can find us there. YouTube, our channel is Backtracking Rocks, So, one more episode on Ephemera next week. J. William Hall, as always, thank you. And we will see you all next week. Bye-bye.